Good morning, everybody. I appreciate you taking your seats. Turn the mic over to Chairman Philip Bilden, Chairman of the Naval War College Foundation.
Thank you very much, George. Sound check. Everyone can hear me? Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome. Thank you for making the time today to discuss these very important presentations we have on national security. I'm Philip Bilden, Chairman of the Naval War College Foundation. On behalf of the Board of Trustees and our dedicated foundation staff, I'm very pleased to convene this year's symposium that continues a series of lectures focused on national security challenges facing our nation. Today's symposium will address arguably the single greatest security challenge facing the United States, namely the increased assertiveness by the People's Republic of China to challenge US interests in the South China Sea, the Indo-Pacific region, and globally across diplomatic, economic, technologic, and military domains. The Naval War College Foundation has assembled leading experts on China's capabilities and strategies in all domains of competition and conflict, for a comprehensive assessment of the threat, and importantly, for strategies our leaders can employ for deterring the threat. We are going to spend the day with some of the nation's most informed US military leaders, members from the ambassadorial community, intelligence community, cybersecurity experts, and congressional leaders. And we're going to examine the driving forces behind China's strategy to confront the United States and potentially displace the US-based international rules order. We are very honored to have Admiral Harry Harris as our keynote speaker. Admiral Harris led our joint military forces in the region as Indo-PACOM commander, and later served as ambassador to a key regional US ally, South Korea. Admiral Harris can attest to the US military's challenge to be prepared to fight tonight against an adversary with rapidly growing capabilities in air, land, sea, space, and cyber domains. After multi-decade massive investment in military and naval assets by the People's Liberation Army Navy under President Xi Jinping's strategic direction. We will hear from Senator Jack Reed, one of the longest-serving US senators and members of the Armed Services Committee, for perspectives from the Congress who allocate the funding for our military preparedness. Admiral Scott Swift, former PAC Fleet commander, will lead our expert panel discussion on deterrence strategies. Admiral Swift is well positioned to understand Chinese naval capabilities and how our US Navy is positioned to deter, defend, and fight increasingly against a capable naval adversary. We'll benefit from the experienced perspective of the Honorable Francis J. Bing West to my left, who served ably as Assistant Secretary of Defense in the Reagan administration, confronting another threat at the time, the Soviet threat. Bing's recent submission, along with the Honorable Secretary of the Navy, John Lehman, in the National Review on Maritime Strategy is a must-read, and we'll be circulating that to all the members. And Bing, thank you for authoring that. We'll also hear from the Honorable Chris Inglis, who will shed light on the opaque and unseen fifth domain of conflict as the President's appointed National Cyber Director and a long-leading expert in our nation's cyber defenses, going back to his deputy directorship at the National Security Agency. And former Canadian ambassador to China, Howard Balak, with us today as a guest of trustee Barbara Schoenfeld, might reflect on how 2 decades have made a difference in national power and the shifting balance of power in less than a single generation. I am particularly grateful to all our Naval War College faculty and speakers who have lent their considerable expertise to this event and to the ongoing research and teaching and lectures that make the Naval War College a national asset for educating our future leaders. Our faculty are the unsung heroes of this great institution of strategic thought, and I'd ask you to join me in a round of applause for their efforts. Now, a word about the Naval War College Foundation. Not all of you will be entirely familiar with why we exist and what we do. We are a 501c3 organization, a philanthropy. We have a single client, the Naval War College Institution. We exist to serve and to provide funding where it's most needed at what I would describe as the speed of relevance. We support the most important national security priorities of the Department of Defense that are critical to the professional education of our mid-grade and future senior officers who come through this institution, the Naval War College. Whether it's artificial intelligence, cyber, the Arctic, or China's military threat as it is today, we are funding initiatives that will impact our nation's future leaders. These leaders are entrusted with strategic decisions affecting our security and stability, and that's why it's so important. But unlike government funding, our funding comes at the speed of relevance. As an independent nonprofit 501c3, our foundation accelerates funding years before it is appropriated through government channels, and that's if that funding comes through government channels at all. Our foundation does not stop working during government shutdowns or national pandemics. We are not hostage to partisan politics of budget appropriations. We provide reliable and forward-looking funding for the margin of excellence at the Naval War College that the government does not provide. Our foundation has led from the front before at the speed of relevance, notably in the cybersecurity education. We raised over $10 million for the James Hogg Center for Cyber Policy and Innovation. It would not have happened had the foundation not stepped in, and many of the people in this room supported that effort, and I thank you for that. We're moving out again at flank speed to build awareness and funding for several key initiatives, including integrated deterrence, relevant to today's China discussion. Now, as you might imagine, planning, organizing, and executing an event at this scale for today's symposium requires considerable time, talent, and treasure. I want to thank all of our sponsors and donors for generously supporting this worthy event. It would not happen without you. And I encourage you all in the room to recruit like-minded friends and business associates and those in your philanthropic network to support the foundation and our many worthy initiatives that bear upon our national security. We need financial support to deliver this educational margin of excellence to support our nation's future leaders. I am particularly grateful to our National Events Committee, led by Chairman Scott DePasquale, for organizing today's 2022 Newport National Security Symposium, this on the heels of the San Francisco National Security Symposium, which focused on artificial intelligence. Scott and his team, comprised of members of our 30-board-strong trustees, are responsible for the excellent assemblage of talent from our speakers, truly world-class. In his daytime work, Scott and his colleagues at the Analysis and Research Center, the ARC, keep our nation's critical infrastructure in banking and energy safe 24/7. Scott, we're grateful to you and the ARC team for what you do. And of course, none of today would be possible without our dedicated and hardworking staff, led by CEO Captain George Lang. George and our team have executed the many moving parts of today's event over the past several weeks and months. I thank the entire team for their professionalism and effort. And before we kick off, a special thanks to our host last evening for the reception at Seaweed, Doug Newhouse, our trustee, and his wife Holly, for the third year in a row, have hosted the VIP delegation of speakers and out-of-town attendees at the historic seaside home of Seaweed. It was spectacular and a wonderful start to the symposium. So thank you, Doug and Holly. So George, over to you for the introduction of our President of the Naval War College, Admiral Chatfield. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Chairman Bilden. Appreciate it.